Hello there. I hope you're having a fantastic week. Are all set for a beautiful weekend. Beautiful day today. I'm glad to be with you. I am coming to you live from Whole Foods in Sugar Land, Texas. My mother lives about 10 minutes from here. And if you're wondering who it was, she's the one in the US that doesn't have internet at all. Not on a phone, not in the house. So I just arrived here this morning. I've over the last couple days, I feel a little tired. If I look a little tired, it's because over the last few days I've driven 2,000 miles and to get here, and am going to be visiting for a few days before moving on. So anyway, I'm glad to be with you. I'm going to be talking today about studies and influencers. In other words, how do we know what we know? Okay, there's a lot of questions and misinformation and disinformation out there. I'm sitting outside, by the way, because it's lunchtime in Texas. It's just afternoon, and so while I can sit inside, there's a lot of people that are going to be sitting down for lunch in these next few minutes, and it's going to get pretty loud in here, in there. It's actually loud out here too because the Southwest Freeway is just over there, but this seemed like the better alternative of the two options. Anyway, glad to be with you. I hope, again, you're having a fantastic day and have had a beautiful week. I see we've got lots of folks joining here on Instagram. Again, I'm on two devices. I have not yet figured out how to do the one camera, multiple um, outlets, multiple media channels. If anyone knows the best way to do that, let me know. But in the meantime, because we're still closed at Tanglewood, I got my Instagram here on my phone, and my laptop here is YouTube. Um, so if you're wondering why I'm looking back and forth, that's what's going on. Let's see here. All right. Hello, Tessa. How are you? We can you well. I think you meant to say here. You can hear me well. I'm glad. That's if that's the case. I'm glad to hear that. Hannah, good to see you here. Danny, nice to see you. And there's many others I didn't say hello to, but I'm glad to see you all. I hope you're all doing well. Um, Ksenia, how are you? Hey, by the way, Ksenia just reminded me. Our rates are just about to go up. Some of you already know this. It's amazing how many times I've been attacked for charging what we charge. Um, Most people who go to Tango would say it was the most amazing experience of their life. The place is spectacularly beautiful and comfortable, and costs over these last few years have risen very rapidly. You've probably noticed that everything's more expensive. It's true in Costa Rica too. I mean, the goods, we have to replace furniture and fixtures and stuff all the time. All that stuff is coming from somewhere else, most of it, and it's expensive. It's a lot more expensive than it used to be. The organic produce that we feed people with is much more expensive than it used to be. Even minimum wage has continued to go up. So, I mean, it affects the government mandates that we have wage increases, and it's everything's expensive. And the point is, our rates are about to go up, and there's an opportunity if you know that you're ready to take your health to an amazing new level. I mean, folks, again, let me be clear. First of all, this is not for everyone. Okay, who's it not for? If you're clear, like if you're not coachable, if you have trouble taking direction from people or from me, I think we get a lot of people that maybe have issues. Sorry, I'm trying to orient myself here. Have issues with their father, um, and they wind up, because of that, it becomes a little challenging, maybe to take some guidance from me. Um, I mean, and I'm certainly not perfect. There are times I'm sure I could do a better job, uh, but I think often it's just in certain individuals. I mean, most of you already know this, but we have stayed full for most of the last coming up on 29 years. We're now like 28 and three-quarter years we've been operating, and our clients come back all the time. So we stayed full without ever doing any paid marketing or advertising. All right. but we're having a hard time keeping up with rising costs. And I'm telling you this because rates are about to go up, and so you have an opportunity. If you book now in the next few days, you can lock in our current rates. Okay, so if you want to come, write to me. You can PM me here on YouTube or YouTube. I don't think you can do PMs anymore. But if you want to keep it private, go to tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com, click contact us. I respond to each of those messages myself. At some point, that probably won't be possible, but I'm still doing it myself right now. And if you're here on Instagram, you can message me here if you prefer, whatever works for you. Okay? Hello there, Sherry. How are you? Good to see you. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It is Friday. That's right. Charles, good to see you here. Hey, Danny. Ian, nice to see you. Open multiple tabs on laptop for as many sites as needed, only one camera. Okay. You probably know how I'm not particularly technical, so I hear you, but I don't really know what that means. I've got multiple tabs open now, but I don't know how to connect them all at the same time. That's the issue. Anyway, if you know how to do that, and don't mind sending me a private message, I'd be very appreciative, because I could broadcast on more than 2 channels, perhaps, and that would be even better. In any case, Rona, good to see you. Glad you're here. Peter, nice to see you here. CR, I'm not sure. Diego, okay, Diego, good to see you here. Carly, hello there. How are you? So we'll go ahead and jump in. It's already about 8 minutes after the hour. And, this is a really important subject because, first of all, it's crazy how often people say things like, oh, we have here, my only goal is to remove mucoid plaque, is 16 days fasting, 5 days repeat, the minimum. No, you really should do 21 days. It usually takes at least 21 days to break down and hydrate the old material enough that you're going to be able to get most of it out. Okay, so I would recommend, that's a 4-week process. I'd recommend you spend 4 weeks with us. That is the minimum that most people do at Tanglewood. I mean, we do have, every year we'll have a handful of people that'll do less than 4 weeks with us, but it's like 95% of our clients are with us for 4, 5, 6 weeks or even longer. Okay, we have several people this session who are planning to fast for, one guy's coming back and doing more than 40 days. We have a couple others that are scheduled to do 40 days or so. I think 3 or 4 others. So it's a very common thing. And again, if people can follow simple directions, they're perfectly fine. I mean, I've guided more than 1,000 people through fasts of 40 days. I often get asked, yeah, but aren't I too lean? And the answer is almost never yes. I mean, usually we can take very lean people, again, if they can follow simple directions, they're almost always going to be perfectly fine. Okay? So let's jump into today's topic. I want to talk about studies. And again, let's see, Dragon, is that what that says? Dragon Gamer Kid. So feel free to go to tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com, contact us. I respond to those messages myself, and I'll be glad to get back to you that way. That's probably going to be the best way. Okay, if you want to have a conversation about it. All right. I'm always amazed by how many people will say things like, where's the study that proves that? Okay. Now, studies can be valid. But first of all, I mean, this is so simple, so basic. I'm a little embarrassed to say it, but it occurs to me some people don't realize this, right? Not everything has been studied. So there may not be a study that says if I drop this glass bottle on the concrete, it's going to break. There may not be any studies that say that. I'm still pretty confident that if I drop it from 3 feet, it's going to break. Okay, I don't need a study to demonstrate that. Now, obviously, that's a stupid, simple example, right? We all know that. But so many people out there are so unwilling to engage their brain, right? I mean, I've published a couple of videos in the last month talking about, one was about the 3, these are short little reels, 3 things you should give up if you want to be as healthy as possible. The first was animal products. I've done another whole talk, a short video about the carnivore diet, why it's harmful. And of course, these are things I've talked about for years. But what happens sometimes is one of these carnivore influencers sees my video and then tells his people, and I get all these excuse my French here, morons who don't know anything. Okay, and they're just repeating what some influencer, who in most cases, I mean, there are several of these people, I'm really confident. One of them is so stupid that he might actually believe what he's saying, but there's others that they're not that stupid. They have to understand. I mean, there's a guy, a doctor out there, who quotes studies, but says the exact opposite of what the study says. So say, yeah, XYZ study says that people who eat, the more cholesterol you eat, the longer you live. When the study said exactly the opposite of that. Now, this guy's not stupid. I mean, he could be. You don't have to be a genius to graduate from medical school. You know what they call the person who graduated last from his medical school class? Doctor. Okay. And I mean, medicine is about memorization primarily. There's not a lot of thinking or creative thought involved. These people aren't particularly, they're definitely not creative geniuses. But if someone gets through medical school, you would think they would be able to understand how a study is read. But he does this over and over again. Okay. So why is he doing this? Well, my guess is because he's a doctor and they know people will listen to doctors, that the meat, maybe, the American Beef Council or, one of these organizations is paying him a lot of money to spread this disinformation. This is what happens. This is the world we live in today. It's unbelievable to me that there are people who will do anything. I mean, there are places you can go where you can get someone, for $100, they'll kill you. They'll kill someone for you. Okay. I mean, how many people do you think would be willing to lie for you, to you, if they pay them enough money? I'm sure there's quite a few of them. Now, the crazy thing is, I mean, they're like, oh, you're lying about this. Like, and why would I do that? You think there's a fruit lobby that's going to pay me enough? No. It doesn't work that way. Okay, they don't have the money that the meat and dairy people have. Okay, I'm not being paid to lie. I'm telling you what I know to be a fact. And if you're one of the folks, I mean, I recognize a lot of you, but if you're one of the people here who don't know me, haven't seen me, I'll give you just a very quick intro. I am 37 years now a health coach. For the last nearly 29 years, I've run the world's largest dedicated water-only fasting center. And I say that because True North in California is quite a bit larger than we are. But most people go there to eat cooked vegan food because they can't do that at home, I guess. And then there's a whole bunch of people there drinking juices. And these are things that, no matter how profitable they are, I will never offer them because I'm clear that they are suboptimal. They're not really helping people, okay? I mean, yes, it's great to get someone to do something better, but I don't need to offer that service. We're trying to offer people what is optimal. This is the way you can take your health from where it is to the highest level possible. Coach Cole is saying, where and how do you source your water? We have a spring at Tanglewood. I bought the site in Costa Rica because we have perfect water coming out of the ground. That's what we drink. It's what we flush our toilets with. It's our water source. Okay, and it's amazing. When I'm traveling, I'm buying spring water in glass bottles because I want the best there is, and you can't compare to this. I'm not going to get into the whole distilled water nonsense. There's some people think we need to drink water out of a machine. If we can get clean spring water, we can't do better than that. Okay, so we have our own spring water. All right, so over the years, I've helped more than 16,000 people create amazing levels of health. And I guarantee results for anyone who's coachable. Now, I can't guarantee perfect health, but I can guarantee that you're going to take your health to the highest level that your body is capable of in the time that you allow for it. Okay, if you give it enough time, it's incredible what happens. Obviously, it's dependent on how much time. If you want to come spend a week with us, you're not going to see the same results as if you spend a month with us. It just doesn't work that way. Okay. Trump or Harris? I don't think I want to get into politics here. I'll tell you this. I mean, Harris is a complete idiot and obviously not pulling the strings. I mean, she was just asked again what would you have done differently than Biden? And she couldn't answer the question. She doesn't know anything about anything. I don't like Donald Trump, but Harris is clearly a puppet. And is how many millions of illegal aliens have entered the country, and including murderers and et cetera, et cetera. So it's pretty simple to me. Okay, so I see we've got more comments here. Hello there, Katerina and Natalie and Keto Squaw. Good to see you all. Glad you're here. Thank you, Tessa Jane. I appreciate that. Oh, and lots more. It's more, once I stop the flow of incoming people, I miss. I have to start it again. It doesn't even start again. I don't know how to start it again. It's my problem. Is I'm not Orchard Love. Nice to see you. Love your name, Sebastian. Good to see you here. Nayla, if I'm missing you, I apologize. Jenna, I'm not getting everybody here. Sorry about that. I'm just sort of scrolling up. All right, so we want to be clear about this. First of all, we don't need, we need common sense. We need logic. We need to understand basic, simple things. These people are telling me, because they've been told by these meat-based knucklehead influencers, that human stomach acid is the same pH as carnivores. And it's pretty low, but stomach acid in general is pretty acidic. And the reason why, it's not because we're there to digest meat. It's because the stomach acid helps kill pathogens that might be in our food, bacteria and things that we don't want there. Okay, that's part of what the stomach acid, the pH, is doing for us. But if you think about a snake or even a dog, which is an omnivore, a wolf, they can digest bones. Okay, they can digest bones. I mean, a snake digests the entire animal, right? But it takes them about a week. Very, very low pH. Now, our pH, I mean, we're meant to digest things in just a few hours at the most. So it's not meant to take a week, sitting in our system. That would be a problem. Okay, the way our bodies work is different. So we need a pH that will allow our bodies to digest these things, but in relatively short order. I'm hoping my laptop and phone don't overheat, because there was no sun and now there is. And I'm here because there's an outlet on the ground. It's the only one outside here. I'm not using it, but it's here if I need it at some point. I think I've got everything fully charged, so I think I can make it through the hour. But I thought, because this was available, I'd sit here just in case I needed it. Okay, so you want to be clear. I mean, if we look at the entire digestive tract, because people are saying our systems are identical to carnivores. No, they're completely different. Okay, and the facts are really clear and simple. Okay, if you were the size, if you were 500 pounds, your digestive tract would be roughly 8 to 12 times longer than a 500-pound tiger. Okay, because we're meant to eat a completely different diet. And they're meant to eat flesh. We're meant to eat fruits and leafy greens. We don't need to rush things through our system and get rid of them because of the toxicity. They do. That's what their bodies are trying to do. Okay, so the first piece is, there may not be studies to show everything, but we can use our good brains and say, okay, well, if our systems are so completely different, there's probably a reason for that. And there is. And there's tons of data to support the idea. But what you'll find is that, and this is the influencer part, we're going to come back to studies. But here's the thing, because I already started talking about these influencers. Again, these people are being paid. And you know how they say, if you want to be in business, I didn't start Tanglewood to make money. I started Tanglewood to help as many people as possible. It hasn't been a particularly good way to make money. I've never paid myself anything. We've tried to keep our rates low. I've never taken a salary. It's a bit of an issue. It's going to be very hard for me to see the screens now because it's so bright out here. So answering more questions might be difficult. But I've got the brightness all the way up. There's nothing I can do about that. So they say, if you want to be successful in business, you offer people what they want. Well, what people want around diet and nutrition is they want to hear good news about their bad choices. Okay, they want to be told, especially men who want big muscles, want to be told that they should be eating meat. Because if you want to, create giant biceps and muscles, you need to consume more than a natural or healthy amount of protein. It won't be healthy. You can do it, but it's not healthy. Okay, and again, I mean, I just went back and listened to. He's changed the name. I don't remember the name of the channel, um, but there's a guy in his 70s who's got a channel he used to call Plant Chompers, and I have actually put the link on both Instagram and Facebook with my video talking about the three things we should give up. And what's interesting, he wound up doing three videos looking, I think, at 80 influencers from like 100 years ago to present day, looking at people who were dead. And if you mentioned a few that were still alive, that were over 100. And what happened is, I mean, the patterns are really clear. Yep, there's a few people who ate meat, pushed a meat-based diet that lived to be 90 something. But there's a whole bunch of them that died in their 30s and 40s, and most of them didn't make it out of their 50s. Okay, most of these people. All right. Whereas and again, they're vegans who didn't do so well, but the vast majority of them lived much longer. Most of them lived to late 70s, 80s, even 90s, and even into their hundreds. People push the Weston Price Foundation. You look at all the people that promoted the Weston Price Foundation's diet. They didn't live very long. Okay, they didn't live very long. This should be telling us something. Okay, so the problem is that there are all these people out there that are listening to influencers who are telling them what they want to hear, and they believe it and don't do any research. I had one guy all in my face. You're wrong about this. You don't know what you're talking about. And I said, look, I've been studying this now for nearly 50 years. I read studies. Okay, you're in the what? He's some blue collar guy. I could see from his page. I said, how much do you actually know about anatomy and physiology? I'm guessing. It seems pretty clear. You're getting all of your information from some meat influencer who's probably being paid to lie to you. You want to be clear about this. This is happening all the time. All right, now I can see more easily, for some reason, here on YouTube, comments. Let's see. Hi, Loren. Can I ask you again to answer my simple question? I asked my email. Will take you less than a minute. What's happening? I just lost my screen. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. That's actually much better now. Okay. Yeah, it'll be email. Do you want me to sit close to my screen to watch my movie or sit back with my glasses on tonight? Yeah. Well, I wouldn't encourage, you definitely don't want to sit close to your screens, okay? Any closer than necessary. Now, if it's a laptop and it's on battery, it's not plugged in, not so bad. Anything plugged in is putting out much more electromagnetic radiation. So if you're using a laptop, what you want to do is charge it up before you use it, if you can, and then use it on battery. If you're watching a several-hour movie, 2-hour, 90-minute movie, you might need to have it charged. But I would keep my distance from it. They don't touch it more than you need. Don't be too close to it. If it's a television set, you probably want to keep your distance away from it because of electromagnetic radiation. Maybe there's a sweet spot where you don't need your glasses but don't have to sit so close. Otherwise, you might be better off putting your glasses on. You want to stay away from the electromagnetic radiation. A couple hours isn't going to make a difference for your eyes. It's what you're doing over the long haul. So over the long haul, you want to keep your glasses off as much as you can. But if you need to put them on to read something or to drive or to get from point A to point B without walking into stuff or to watch something, I think that's fine. Okay, I think that's okay. All right. I'm just going to ask this one question. Yes, we fasted many people with severe chemical sensitivities. We usually see amazing results with that. Okay, one more. What are your thoughts on liver flushing? Liver flushes are nonsense. You're pushing out a combination. These supposed gallstones are bile and olive oil, which hardens. Take those gallstones, leave them on a plate at room temperature, they melt. Okay, these aren't gallstones. Gallstones are calcified, they're hard. They don't break down at room temperature. Okay, I wouldn't encourage anyone to drink olive oil and whatever else. I don't remember whatever else that concoction is. If you want to cleanse your liver, you fast long enough and properly. You don't do it by drinking something over the course of several days or a week. That doesn't work. Okay, so influencers, again, I mean, really the whole point of this, I think today, and we have lots more time, but the whole point of this is that you have to be intelligent. You might have to be willing to actually do some of your own research. Okay, if someone tells you something, I mean, I have seen study authors do their study. Okay, and if you've never read a study, there'll be a section, there'll be an abstract, which is this is what happened in summary, and then there'll be a much deeper. Sometimes you're only going to find abstracts, but if you're actually looking at the study itself, you can find all of the information there. So I read the studies, and then I read their conclusion. Like, their conclusion doesn't follow. Why do you think that's happening? Here's what I think. I think they've been paid by someone to reach a particular conclusion, even though their data doesn't support that. Most people don't read the study. Okay, they are lying to you. Okay, it's someone once said statistics lie. They don't. Statistics are numbers. People use information like statistics. I mean, during COVID, they lied to you saying, "Oh yeah, but if you get the vaccine, you have X% better." No, they're playing with the data in a way that most people don't understand. Okay, that's what's going on there. So you want to be really clear about this. Okay, and I mean, sometimes I've seen some crazy things. I don't have a piece of paper, but imagine you've got a graph, got your X and Y axis. They want to show this relationship, like a 45-degree angle. That's what they want to show. The more of this you do, the more of that you get, or vice versa, right? That's what they want to show. So I've heard from two different clients from two different countries who both worked at labs that did studies. They were paid to run studies for other people. And here's what they said to me. They'll get, let's say, 1,000 data points, which are all over the place, and then they'll erase 900 of them. So what's left are the data points that roughly show the relationship they want to represent. And then they publish that as if that's all the information they have. Completely unethical. It's completely dishonest. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that there's no valid studies. There are. But it's not so easy. I mean, what you really have to know is who paid for the study. And again, this is, some of you who've been following me for a long time. You've heard me talk about this, right? The study that said that chocolate was good for you was paid for by Nestle, who's the largest chocolate manufacturer in the world. The study that said that alcohol was good for you, this is even before the wine, before resveratrol, there was a study that said 1 or 2 alcoholic drinks a day are good for you, they lower your blood pressure, et cetera, et cetera. That study was paid for by the largest manufacturer of alcoholic spirits in the world, a company called Seagram's International, based in London, UK. Okay, they're going to benefit. The more people that believe, I mean, they've got X percentage, whatever that is, of that market, of the chocolate market or the alcohol market. So for every dollar they spend, they're making $2. They have, they know exactly how it works, right? That's why they're doing what they're doing. Okay, so you want to know, if you can, who's paid for a study. Is it really valid? Is it really pure research? Or is this some commercial interest trying to demonstrate a particular point? Because that's often what's happening. There's a commercial interest behind it that's paying for the study, and they want you to believe a particular outcome. Okay? Can you trust those studies? Absolutely not. Okay? Even when the study is accurate, remember, you have to look at their conclusion. Sometimes you can see, oh, these people are probably paid by someone because the conclusion does not make sense. I'm pretty good at logic. Okay, I can read the study and go, no, you can't reach that conclusion. It doesn't work that way. Okay. If you are, again, if you're not sure yet what you should be eating, remember that we share roughly 99% of our DNA with our closest primate relatives. Okay. Roughly 99%. Our digestive tracts are almost exactly the same as chimps and bonobos. The only real difference is that because they are still forced in the rainiest times of the year to eat things that are high in cellulose, they just don't have access to the same quality fruit or maybe always to soft leaves. So they wind up eating things higher in cellulose. They need to be able to ferment cellulose to get fatty acids from it. We don't need to do that anymore. Okay. So we still have, they'll say, oh, we don't have a cecum anymore. Yes, we do. We have a cecum. Of course we do. Absolutely. It's the last part, or the first part of the large intestine. Okay. But we don't need to use it the same way that they do. And so there's been a change in our digestive tracts, but we're still complete, again, much longer, 10 to 12 times longer than carnivores pound for pound. Okay. Remember, they digest bones. You consume one piece of corn or one sunflower seed, and what's going to happen? It's going to pass right through your system. Okay. Again, the evidence is really clear if you even just think about this. You don't have to necessarily have studies in order to know this. What were the two moments you thought you were going to die? Not the snake bite. No. The first one was I was driving down a mountain road. Well, I from where I lived, my driveway went up quarter of a mile, and then half a mile on the road, dirt road went up, and then it reached a paved road where it began to go down. And it went down, I want to say, roughly 10 miles to the highway. And as I started to go down, I realized I had no brakes in the car, nothing. And I got to a point where I was going to either have to, there were 3 full-size pickup trucks parked in my lane. I was going to have to rear end this, like running into a brick wall. I mean, imagine 3 giant trucks. I'm in a much lighter, smaller vehicle. Or there was a dump truck full of dirt or rocks or something coming up the other side. And on the sides of the road, there were these deep concrete culverts because this was in the mountains in Panama where there was a lot of rain. So I'm thinking, okay, by the time I get to this point, I'm doing 60 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour roughly. I'm either going to have a head-on collision with a giant dump truck, okay, multi-ton truck. I'm going to drive into the tailgate of, there are 3 pickup trucks, one in front of behind the other, or I'm going to drive into this deep ditch, concrete ditch. And I thought, I'm not going to survive this. And the dump truck's tires were probably 4 or 5 feet tall. At the last minute, he actually realized, I'm leaning on my horn. He realized I'm not moving, and he actually pulls down into the culvert. His wheels were big enough he could drive down into the culvert, and I was able to just slide through. I damaged my car, and I think the truck was fine, but I damaged the pickup truck a little bit, the first one, and scratched both sides of my car. Damaged the mirror on one side, and then scratched the side of the car because it hit the wheels of the other trucks. That was the first time. That was the second time. The first time was I think it was my last skydive, or one of my last skydives. I used to do a bunch of skydiving, and my parachute, when it opened, the lines were all tangled. So when it came out of my pack, it didn't actually open. And I'm falling at terminal velocity, and my parachute's not open. And I thought, okay, I was able to get it untangled, but I really thought there for a moment, this is probably going to be it. I'm going to hit the ground and look like a human pancake. All right, so I'd like to take any questions on the subject we've talked about here today. So if you've got questions about studies, about influencers and what happens there, feel free to ask them here. I'm going to scroll up and see. It's mostly Instagram, what I've got here. By the way, if for some reason you prefer YouTube, I do have a new YouTube channel. It's Loren Lockman _official. You can go there. We have several people live on YouTube now as well. And I'm going to try to figure out, I've got not this coming week, but the week after, I'll be live at Tanglewood, and I'm going to have to figure out how to do both at the same time. So hopefully by then, again, if you know a way to easily broadcast from one device to multiple channels, I'd love to hear from you. That'd be great. I appreciate it. Okay, so I don't see any questions here about the subject, but if anybody has any, please feel free to ask. All right, so again, the bottom line here is sometimes we need to be willing to engage the old thinker, and it's crazy. Most people out there really don't know very much. Okay, and yet they've been told things by certain people, and so they believe them. I had a guy commenting, and he said, no thanks, I'll stick with what I already eat. And he said, I'm perfectly healthy. And he gave me his vital signs. I responded and said, okay, these numbers tell me that you're dehydrated, that your actual blood pressure is hypertensive. It's higher than it should be. This is not good. You can definitely be much healthier. I never heard back from him. People don't want to hear this. They want to be told that they're doing perfectly fine. I'm not going to lie to somebody like that. And, again, the problem is that we're always, the competition out there will happily lie to people to get them to think what they want them to. Now, I can't, once again, the sun is so bright and I can't really read what's happening here on Instagram. I'm sorry. I can see there's some more stuff, but it's hard to see you there. So, does anybody have, well, I'm going to have a hard time seeing your questions. All right. So let me see if there's anything else I haven't mentioned to you. This is really the most important part of this subject, is simply to understand there are people out there now who are being paid, and they're, again, who's paying them? They're paying by these giant, very profitable industries. Here's something that's related, and this really, I think, this speaks to the fact that our politicians are bought off by big corporations. Okay, you might already know about this, but there are many food additives, food colorings, and preservatives, and things like this, which are illegal in most other places, but are still used in the U.S. by U.S. companies. So U.S. companies are manufacturing food that they already know causes cancer, that they already know is very harmful to their consumers, but they don't care because it's all about profit. Okay, and this is the problem. Here's another example. There's a guy out there some of you may know and respect. I won't mention names. There's a guy out there for years who's been telling people, if you want to be healthy, you need to drink Daily Green Boost, barley grass juice powder. Really? So we need to take the juice of grass. We're never meant to eat grass, but we have to take grass juice and dry it and then add this powder to water to be healthy? No, we definitely don't. It's definitely not beneficial to anyone. Does it have some benefits? Well, if you're not getting enough protein, you're going to get lots of protein there, but should we be consuming grass? Of course we should not. Okay? Dishonest people getting paid to push specific positions. All right, I do see a question here now, Hannah. Okay, you've left me a link. Thank you. I'm going to take a screenshot because once we're off, I think this chat disappears. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. And it looks like that's it for comments or questions. So there's probably a lot of examples like this. Okay, there's a guy out there who I've actually met in person many years ago, almost probably 15 years ago, speaking at an event in the UK, who's been pushing all kinds of toxic substances as remedies. And, again, because most people, what they want, they don't want to change anything. They don't want to have to change. They don't want to give up the stuff they like. So what they want is a magic bullet, right? In other words, some substance they can take and add to what they're doing that's going to make everything good. Does that work? What do you think? Absolutely not. It's nonsense. It's impossible. Okay? We can't fix a bad diet by adding something. In fact, a bigger part of the problem is what's there, not what's not there. It's not that we're missing something. Most people, certainly in the US, probably most of Western Europe, countries that have enough money, most people are probably getting all the nutrients they need. The problem is they're getting all kinds of stuff that the body doesn't need or want. Right? I mean, if you were to eat, and I know many of you are raw or have eaten raw at some point, right? You probably already know this, but if you take your raw diet, which makes you feel incredible, right? If you're eating fruit and salad, that's the very best you can do. We don't need anything else. If you're eating that and you feel incredible, but you were to take the same things you're eating and cook them, how are you going to feel? Not so good. Why is that? Well, again, most people don't want to hear bad news about their favorite habits, but the fact is that when we cook food, we destroy nutrients and we create toxic compounds. And so these things, the body actually responds to those cooked foods as if they're poison, because they are. That's how the body reacts to that. Okay. Now, again, people don't want to hear that, but this is absolutely true. And some of you already know this for a fact. And yet there are people out there who will tell you, you have to cook food. Or one of the other things in the short reel some of you saw, I'm sure, give up animal products, salt, right, and processed sugar. Right, those are the primary things. Those were the three categories I mentioned. Obviously, there's many other things. We should give up all processed foods. We should give up all cooked foods. But in that particular video, the idea was to let people know, hey, you can start to improve right now. Okay, give up as many animal products as you're willing to. Okay, stop eating processed sugar at all. Like there's no reason to ever consume it. There are people out there, including someone who used to be raw, telling people, oh, it's carbs are good for you. All carbs are good for you. Sugar's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There again, you've got someone. She's got better boobs than I do. More people pay attention. Is this intelligent advice? No, it's ridiculous advice. The science is completely clear that when we consume processed sugar, it wreaks havoc with our systems. Dramatically raises blood sugar, dramatically increases insulin flow into the bloodstream. Is this good? No, even if your body's able to manage the sugar, we have an insulin problem. Okay, we don't want our insulin levels to be higher than necessary. This is terrible advice. And yet there are people out there going, oh, thank you so much. Basically, I mean, if they're honest, they would say, thank you, you're telling me exactly what I wanted to hear. Okay. If you care about the truth, if you want to be successful or healthy or have good relationships, whatever it is, what's vital is that we're connected to the truth about these things, not the lies that we like hearing. That doesn't help anyone. Okay. We have to know the actual truth. Now, this gets confusing because, the carnivore types would say, well, carbs are bad for you. No, they're not. In fact, having guided more than 11,000 people through fasts, I can tell you that what the body does as soon as you stop eating is it starts looking for sugar. It doesn't want to run on fat. It will if it has to, but it's not the body's first preference. The body prefers to run on sugar because that's what we're set up to do. We're meant to run on glucose. It's our primary source of fuel. Okay? And so how could it be that what we're meant to run on is harmful to us? Well, it's not. And there are people who say, there's the influencer says, sugar, it's all good for you. Nonsense. And there's the people who say, more of them and more believed by most people, sugar's bad for you no matter where it comes from. You shouldn't eat fruit because it contains sugar. No. The reason, of course, that fruit is healthy for us is because it contains the fiber and the water that we need to slow down the absorption of sugar in the bloodstream. So we see people eating fruit and keeping their blood sugar perfect. Okay, will it go up after eating? Absolutely, it will. It'll go up. The question is, within a couple hours, can the body bring it back down to where it should be? And the answer is almost always absolutely, no problem. No problem, because it's a gentle increase. It doesn't spike like it does when you eat pasta or bread. These complex carbohydrates that the body almost instantly converts into sugar. Okay, so if we look at the glycemic index chart, 100 is white sugar or white bread. Same thing. It's the same thing to your body. Okay, garbage. It's garbage. Fruits. The highest fruit is 72. And by the way, I want to hasten to add that the glycemic index chart is virtually useless. But I'm just pointing out because these are the numbers on that chart. Okay, much more important, much more valuable to us is glycemic load. So watermelon has a glycemic index of 72, but it has a glycemic load which is high, the glycemic index. Glycemic load is very, very low. It's not a problem at all. Okay, but again, people don't understand this, or they understand it but are using other people's lack of understanding to push a particular viewpoint. Okay, I hope it's clear to you guys. I'm not pushing a particular viewpoint for any reason other than I'm trying to help as many people as possible. That's it. Just trying to help you. Okay. I commented today, someone said something about how there's, so glad to have found me again after me disappearing from YouTube due to some emotional infant 2 years ago almost. And I said, well, I'm so happy to share. Finding fasting, right? I went from being very sick at 23, worse with 3 years of medicine. At 26, walked away, not too long after, found fasting, and ultimately completely changed my diet. And the result is I haven't been sick a day since I was 26 years old. Okay, I'm 63 now. I'm strong and fit. Am I, do I have a giant body, a big neck? No. Do people who have those things live longer? No. Actually, bodybuilders have very short lives. Okay. We don't want to be as big as possible. We want to be able to move our own body weight around. We want to be able to jump up and grab a branch from a tree and pull ourselves into it. Can I do that? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. That's what real health is. Okay. These people who have this ego-based need to be as big as possible, unfortunately, they are almost always harming themselves in significant ways. This is not what our bodies are meant for. It's not good for us. One of the things that happens is the more muscle mass you carry, the more calories you need. The more calories you consume, the faster you age and die. Okay, so I'm not making an argument for not doing anything. I'm making an argument for becoming as efficient as possible. Again, those of you who follow me already know this, but average caloric intake for me is somewhere around 1,000, 1,200 calories a day, and I'm 160 pounds, mostly muscle, 6 feet tall, lean, quite lean by most people's standards. Okay, the average guy we measure is 25% body fat. Mine is closer to 10%. Still higher than I like, but but much lower than most people. Okay, there is no benefit to carrying extra body fat. We're not helping ourselves. One of these trolls who was commenting the other day, who I wound up blocking, was telling me he's much healthier than I am, and I clicked on his profile and looked at his picture. The guy looks like he's about to have a heart attack. Yeah, his arms are big, but he's got this giant barrel here. This is not healthy. It's not healthy. Okay, the healthiest members of virtually every species, except the ones that need body fat for temperature regulation, they're virtually always going to be among the leanest members of the species. Okay, leanest are going to be the healthiest in almost every case. Trying to avoid the sun here. All right, let's see. Will we still need to wear deodorant after we complete the fast and are back home? If so, for how long usually? That's a tough question to answer. That's Dragon Gamer Kid. That's a tough question to answer because it's going to be different for each person. I'm gonna lean into the shade here a little bit. Apologize if you can't see me as well, but it's not quite as hot this way. I think it's about 90 degrees here now where I am, or close to that. So it's a little bit warm in the sun. Sitting here in my blue jeans. I thought I'd sit inside and then realized it was going to be way too crowded in there. So it's going to vary for each person. Once you get your body clean, then there won't be much body odor. Now, will you get your body clean enough with one fast? Not necessarily. For many of you, the answer may be yes, but it may depend on how long that fast is. But I don't think I can honestly say that you can do one fast of, let's say, 21 days, and that will be enough that you never need deodorant. I don't own any deodorant. I haven't used deodorant now for 32 or 33 years, something like that. I don't know if Sylvie is here, Sylvie, but Sylvie tells me I smell like fruit most of the time. That will change, interestingly, if I eat a bunch of gourmet raw food or a bunch of nuts and seeds, which are in lots of gourmet food. I'll have a stronger body odor for about 24 hours, and then it goes away again. Okay, so again, my body is really clear. It doesn't particularly want concentrated fats or proteins. I do fine with avocados. She and I just had a conversation. Same thing. She's perfectly fine as long as she eats avocados. Eats too many nuts and seeds. I mean, too much fat is a problem. But avocados, the body handles differently. They're fruits. Okay, we can handle them perfectly well. We don't handle nuts and seeds so well. Okay. I'll tell you a very quick story that I just remembered. Years ago, I had done a full weekend seminar, and there was a young man there, and I was back in town as a keynote speaker for a big event with 5,000 people, and it was public knowledge that I was coming back to speak at this event. Everyone in town knew that I was going to be there for this, and so I got a message or a call, because he knew where I was staying. I always stayed at the same place with the same people there who hosted me, and they got a call from this guy for me, and he said, they called me on the phone. He said, "Hey, I know you're in town. I thought, I wanted to know if you wanted to have lunch with me." Now, I work a lot. I value my free time. It was beautiful then. It was sometime in the summertime, and I was happy to just spend some time alone on the grass because again, I'm busy working. But he said those magic words. You probably know the magic words I'm talking about, some of you. He said, "I have fresh durian. I have fresh durian." And I said, "Come on over." And I was in the backyard enjoying the sun when he came, and he walked around the corner of the house. And when he reached me, he said to me, because I talked about in the seminar about how we don't want to use soap or deodorant or shampoo and these things, and we don't need to once the body's clean. And he said to me, one of the first things he said was, "I stopped using soap and deodorant." And I said, I know. It might be a little premature. I mean, I wasn't standing right next to him, but I could smell him coming. Okay. He hadn't done any fasting yet. He hadn't gotten the body clean yet. I don't know what his diet was like at that point. I don't remember. But even if he was eating a perfect diet, I mean, I know people who eat perfectly but still have quite strong body odor, and that means that they need to detoxify. It means they need to detoxify. So you've heard me talk about the guy I met on a lecture tour in another country some years ago, where the woman who organized for me the events, she and I were calling him PB for poop breath when we were talking about him, because his breath literally smelled exactly like excrement. What do you think that tells us? Well, my guess is he's got a lot of old waste high in the digestive tract. Okay, right? Mouth, throat, stomach, and below the stomach starts the small intestine. You can't see me. It's not, it's pretty high up is where the small intestine starts. My guess is there's a lot of nasty old waste stuck in his body. And this guy's a health coach. I mean, here's just a word of advice. If someone's breath literally smells like shit, you probably don't want to take health advice from them, because they can't be very healthy if they're walking around with all this garbage in them. Although, having said that, I mean, most health coaches are probably walking around with between 15 and 30 pounds, depending how old they are, 15 to 30 pounds of old waste in their bodies. How they would feel and function when they get that stuff out of their bodies is completely different. And some of you might have run into the raw vegan coach out there that says this stuff doesn't exist. I've looked into it. Okay, well, I've actually guided more than 11,000 people through fast, and everybody eliminates this stuff. So we know it's real. We know it's real. Okay. Cole Matthews says, is juicing, Jeff Juice's ideology, beneficial in any way whatsoever in consideration of optimal health? Hey, Lascious. Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate that. Here's the thing, and again, I mean, this is a tough one for people to understand. I got a lot of flack on a video talking about this. I was talking specifically about smoothies not being so good for us. Okay, when we process anything through a machine, we lose a significant amount of the nutrients. The losses are huge, and they're not even. So I've got a food that's got all these different nutrients, and they're all in perfect proportion to each other when found in nature. But I run that through a machine, a juicer or blender, and what happens? Some things, vitamin C, for instance, oxidizes very quickly. Now, instead of this perfect proportion, we have something that's much different than that. Like maybe this is still there and these are much less. No, it's not the same. It's not so good for us in this case. Okay? So, but lots of people, including me, saw lots of benefits by drinking juices. Why? Because when I started juicing, my diet wasn't optimal yet. Okay? Here's the piece that you want to be clear about, and I see we're going to probably wrap up on this point. But you want to be clear that our amazing bodies are attempting to cleanse and heal in every single moment of our lives. They're always attempting to cleanse and heal. As soon as we improve something, we're going to see some cleansing and healing. Okay? As soon as we improve anything, the body's going to be able to cleanse and heal. Example I've used over and over again, if you never saw Super Size Me, Morgan Spurlock, a New Yorker, went and decided he would experiment with eating only McDonald's for 30 days. Okay, by the end of his journey, he was very sick, very ill. His girlfriend was a vegan nutritionist and helped him get back on his feet. I just read, by the way, that Morgan died at 51. So, I mean, I don't even know that he was even vegan. He ate McDonald's. A real vegan would have never done that experiment. He would have found somebody else maybe. But, he ate McDonald's. So I'm not sure if he ever even went vegan. And vegan diets aren't necessarily healthy. Okay, by simply eliminating animal products, it doesn't necessarily mean that what you're eating is what belongs in the body. What belongs in the body is mono fruit meals, simple green salads. Everything else, not really. I mean, nuts and seeds, not so much. Anything processed, not so much. Okay, so, but again, if you're eating, let's say, reasonably well, but not perfectly, and you do a juice fast, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is your body is definitely going to be able to heal, cleanse and heal much better than before. No doubt about it. Okay, it's going to be able to heal much better than it could have before. And so that's why people see results. Having said that, I mean, listen to Jeff. Jeff will tell you, having fasted with me now 3 times, he will tell you there's nothing remotely as powerful or beneficial. Now, he still promotes juicing. I think he's mistaken. But, I still love the guy. It doesn't matter. I'm friends with lots of people that drink juices. I don't. Very, very infrequently. Okay, they're suboptimal in so many ways. We obviously can't optimize our health consuming something suboptimal. But we might get healthier. We might get healthier if the juices, all they have to do is be better than what we were consuming before. And that's true for a lot of people. Okay, if I were to go onto a juice diet, my health would definitely go downhill because the whole organic, ripe, mono fruit meals and simple salads that I eat are much better than juices ever could be. Okay, I hope this makes sense. I'm going to have to run. I've got an appointment I need to get to, but I hope this is useful. Okay, I will look at your emails. Thank you. Lascious, I'll take a look as soon as I can. I'm going to have to run now. It'll be probably an hour and a half or so before I get a chance to take a look. But as soon as I can, I will take a look. Okay, it'll be sometime this afternoon. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been enlightening for you in some way. I know I wind up often saying some of the same things because the truth is simple. And yet I need to keep reminding people, it seems. I mean, I've really been saying the same things now for 30 years. Some of you weren't paying attention 30 years ago, and we didn't have YouTube back then. I was giving talks and talking one-on-one to clients and giving lectures. But, I mean, on social media, I've been saying the same things now for, 15 years probably. No changes. It's all the same stuff because the truth never changes. What's ideal for our bodies has always been ideal for our bodies. Got to go, folks. Take care. Again, it was a pleasure. I will look forward to seeing you same time next week. All right, same time next week. That's 11 o'clock Costa Rica time, 12 o'clock Central time, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Did I miss anybody? Mountain time is the same as Costa Rica. All right? Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.